The big story in sports, obviously, from last night after an otherwise fun football weekend. 4 missed extra points. 4, that you rarely see a football player just short circuit mentally where you know, oh my God, all confidence is lost there. I couldn't find whether it was a record. It has to be, correct? That has to be something that has never happened before in the sport.
3 missed extra points has happened 9 times in the history of the sport. 4 has never happened. 3 times it never happened in the playoffs until last night. And then I think I looked it up. I think it was only the 4th time that someone has missed 3 in a row ever in the history of the sport.
I think he missed one last week as well, and it was funny at 18-0. And I think all of us are having some similar reaction, which is you cannot keep doing this. Tom Brady's going to win at the end if you keep missing extra points in some foolish fashion. But Peyton Manning, after the 3rd one, got up from his chair in disgust and walked off. And he's like, why are they even kicking anymore? I think after he made the first one, I couldn't lip read, but I thought I heard McCarthy. I thought I saw on his lips, motherfucking jerk. That's what I thought he was saying that to the guys in the booth because they have such a disdain for the kickers. It's real and true disgust.
Right. Dak Prescott on the sideline throwing his helmet after, I think, the 2nd miss PAT where he's like, let's effing go for 2 from here on out. I understand different positions, but Maher isn't throwing his helmet when Dak is setting isn't setting the new watermark for interceptions this season. What are you doing? It was a bad look, but no bigger miss PAT than ESPN missing the 5th attempt.
Really? They missed it.
They missed it entirely. We just see the ball going through the uprights. We didn't get the drama. How do you miss that? The entire nation wants to see this point after attempt, and they were too busy on a replay that they missed all the drama when he actually got one in.
It was embarrassing. I felt bad for the kid. I can't even remember his name, the kicker.
I thought I want to always pronounce it like Bill Maher, but it's Brett Maher.
Maher.
Jeez, you get that wrong.
Okay. Well, there you go.
That's fine.
Yeah. But like to me, the thing that was I'm surprised that they kept sending him out there. But to me, the thing that like was sort of lingering in my head was I don't believe you can just waive a kicker and bring in a new one like this for the regular season. Don't playoff rosters lock? Like they are stuck with him. Mm-hmm. They've got to figure this thing out with Brett Maher for like. I'm now factoring into next weekend. The Niners are 4-point favorites against the Cowboys. I'm like, well, Dallas is starting with like -2 on the basis of missed extra points.
Yeah, but every team has an emergency kicker. Like in case their kicker gets hurt, every team has the guy who kicked in high school and who you can count on for a 30-yarder.
That's not what you want in 3-point games in the playoffs to decide your season.
No, right. But you also don't want a guy you can't trust to make an extra point and misses 4 in a row.
I think Aikman was saying they're going to have a new kicker next week after the 2nd or 3rd miss. I'm guessing that people stayed with much of that game to just see if Tom Brady would somehow pull out a miracle, but they didn't stay with it quite so long as to be made uncomfortable, deeply uncomfortable by the Russell Gage injury at the end, where you got concussion, neck injury, you got a stretcher, you got stabilization. Would have been an entirely different conversation if that had happened in the first quarter instead of the 4th quarter, after I think a lot of people had already left to not be horrified by the horrors of football. Because my guess is nobody will talk about that very much today, right?
Well, I mean, it was a similar Joe Buck and Troy Aikman somber tone, 2 commercial breaks, and it was like 10 or 11 minutes that we're sort of waiting. And like the one shot that we kind of got of him was sort of a sweeping from behind, and he was kind of like moving his leg up and down. And you don't want to speculate, but I mean, I don't want to speculate. And it's definitely one where, because there is no potential fear of death, it was a more normal prayer circle. All the Bucs are out on the field and they just go right back to playing. It was the familiarity that, like, the reason why the NFL might resume the Damar Hamlin game in 5 minutes is because of the very perfunctory nature that they go back to playing football after something obviously horrifying happens. Now, mostly the game and life carries on after what seemed to be very devastating injuries.
Did you guys hear or see much Hamlin coverage during the Bills-Dolphins game beyond, isn't it wonderful that the toy drive has raised more than $8 million? They skip right past it?
I think they kind of are trying. This is a coordinated effort to downplay that. All the 3 logos were off the fields. No one, not even the Bills, were wearing 3 patches anymore. I think the NFL is just trying to quietly move on and not constantly remind you that someone died on the field for a brief moment.
It would not shock me if the league got involved and said, you know what, we'd sort of rather he didn't go to the game, because then they're going to show him in the suite and it becomes about Hamlin again. And the fact that
that's unbelievable.
The fact that he was watching from home and just sending out a tweet, "My hearts are with my guys," that was perfect for the NFL.
Yeah, there'll be a time will they bring him back. Last week it was a big unifying thing, and everybody made a good feel-good show of it, and I think now it's like business keeps moving on. Also, subtly, I think that the NFL tried to take care of ESPN for navigating the Damar Hamlin thing by giving them Cowboys versus Tom Brady, the biggest game available on the schedule in terms of biggest number. I think they historically, I mean, this is only the second year that they've done it with ESPN, that they get the Monday night wildcard game. ESPN's always gotten the bad one, but I think that they tried to give them purposefully the best game to kind of be as like a make good, even though the numbers for the Damar Hamlin game were astronomical.
The Bucs were by far the worst team in the playoffs. I was surprised, and should not have been, that this year was the first Tom Brady 3-game losing streak of his career. That was a bad football team that made its way into the playoffs, and they end up getting smothered last night by an incompetent kicker. But Dak Prescott was precise, the same way Daniel Jones, I don't know who coined him Vanilla Vick. It's a great nickname. Daniel Jones, all of a sudden, is precise. And Jason Garrett is on television raving about Daniel Jones with no mention of the fact that the last 2 years he was 31st in scoring with Jason Garrett as his offensive coordinator.
And they just keep like running it. Like there are elements of that offense that are very sort of 1950s, where it's just have the quarterback take the ball and run a sweep to the right and sweep left. And like basically Brian Dable is like, you're only good if you're running the ball 10 times a game, so go do that. And I'm stunned that the Giants, like I was imagining that Minnesota kept being underrated by Vegas for a reason, that they were only 2.5-point favorites in that game for a reason. But I'm kind of stunned at how kind of comprehensive and easy that was after the first quarter and a half for the Giants. They were comfortable winners in that game.
Oh, a Giant. I know that Greg Cody is sitting here celebrating that he was 5-1, including the upset of the Giants, right, which only everyone in the entire world saw coming. The Vikings are the most fraudulent team I have ever seen lose that few games in a season.
And the Bills. Thanks, Billy.
A lot of people were calling the frauds that the Vikings ended up being. A lot of people on this show were accusing the Giants of being those frauds.
That's correct, but they ran up to something that was fraudier.
Right. I mean, honestly, there were the two kind of fraudiest teams of the weekend, and they were playing each other. But Minnesota, I'm not sure that everyone saw that coming. It's people who looked at the numbers, right? Because the Vikings had a negative point differential despite their incredible record, and all the advanced rating systems had Minnesota. Like DVOA ranked them as the 6th worst team in the NFL. Their numbers were appalling. For a team that had that good of a record. But if you just watch football every week, you look at Justin Jefferson be great. Kirk Cousins was decent this season, and their record is good. Yeah, they won a bunch of one-score games, but people just assume that winning equals good. And so all year long, I'm looking at the point spreads going, they're only 2.5-point favorites at home they were home underdogs to the Cowboys. Vegas has undervalued them all season. And it's because they thought that this was eventually right. Well, true, right. Yeah.
There wasn't a number that could tell me on 4th and 8 Kirk Cousins would check down to TJ Hawkinson. That just comes with experience and eyes.
Oh, Kurt Warner did a really good Twitter breakdown of that play and basically said that Kirk Cousins did the right thing. That there was just nothing there.
Quarterbacks.
Not my favorite Kurt Warner moment of the weekend. Mike Greenberg tweeted out of Brock Purdy, "This is the unlikeliest story we've ever seen playing out right before our eyes." And Kurt Warner went into his mentions with "really?"
I love it. I came out of a grocery store aisle. What are you talking
I was
about?
a grocery store bag boy, and also Tom Brady has won 7 championships as a late round pick.
Give Brock Purdy time.
He looks so good. How is that possible? How is any of that possible?
I'm gonna sound like an idiot, but I don't understand it, so I'm just gonna go coaching. I love that coach. Coach is awesome.
Okay, but so there was actually there were several plays where he's running in circles and turned it into something. Pete Carroll said he looked like Fran Tarkenton, which is a great old man reference.
It really is.
But honestly, the best play that he had in that game was an incompletion. It was late in the fourth quarter, and he was running around, running in circles, goes to the left side, comes all the way around to the right side, and throws a flawless pass to Brandon Ayuk in the back corner of the end zone, and he dropped it. If he catches that ball, it's like the perfect bow on that performance. He was sensational in that game. He looks so comfortable play in and play out in that offense. At this point, you just have to throw your hands and be like, guy's good, I guess.
Let me go ahead and just show you this exchange back and forth. Greenberg comes out and says, unlikeliest story in NFL history playing out directly in front of our eyes. And then RG3 comes in with, you're not wrong there. To which Kurt Warner comes in, I mean, really? The unlikeliest? He's so right to be pissed off about that.
Yes, he is.
Would be rookie season, though, for the final pick in the NFL draft. Rookie, first year. I mean, Brady was a 6th-round pick. It's just, we haven't necessarily seen this with the 2 top quarterbacks going down.
But how look, you can make it coaching, but how did that coach see that Trey Lance was so much more talented and Trey Lance looks incompetent, and I take the last pick in the draft and he is Fran Tarkenton? It is such a great old man reference but Fran Tarkenton was Kyler Murray before Kyler Murray, just doing loop-de-loops in the backfield.
But how frustrating must that be for Pete Carroll? Like, we have Brock Purdy. He's Brock Purdy. We have him going the wrong direction. We have him in the grass. That was not the only time in that game that he was running around and creating something with his feet. That must have been so. Every time, like when he came into the game against the Dolphins, I'm thinking, the Dolphins have to win this game. And they've only I think they've scored over 30 points in all of their games since Brock Purdy became the starter. It's incredibly frustrating for every opponent to be like, well, surely is now is when it ends. And you would imagine that San Francisco is going to have a formula to where he can have one of the average NFL quarterback games we talk about all the time, which is any quarterback can go 17 of 27 for 178 yards, a touchdown and an interception. No, Brock Purdy wins these, or goes a long way towards winning these games for San Francisco. His numbers are good too.
Occasionally there's going to be the Josh Allen that you saw occasionally maybe in college, and he ends up being a lot better because you're just predisposed to hate on the guy from Wyoming. I'm happy that Brock Purdy, who looked good in college, is better than Trey Lance, who we barely saw at North Dakota.
Brock Purdy is also the luckiest player in the NFL. Look at what he's surrounded by. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, a great offensive
George
line,
Kittle.
an outstanding defense, the best defense we've seen in years. Brock Purdy doesn't have to do a whole lot surrounded by what he's surrounded by.
But he does do a whole lot.
He does,
That's
though.
the thing.
But he has no
does more
real
than the
pressure
previous two
on him, though.
quarterbacks.
He's not being called upon to win games. They can run the ball. They have.
He hasn't really needed to be called upon because they've been out in front quite easly. He's making the plays.
But I mean, Saturday was a close game for San Francisco for 3 quarters. And then the game completely exploded when Geno Smith got strip sacked by Bosa, who is amazing. And then they let him right down the field. And then the floodgates open. It was just Purdy touchdown, Purdy touchdown, Purdy touchdown. And they were flying after that.
Was that his second close game? His second closest game as a pro so far? It ended up being a blowout because I know he won a shootout against Jared Stidham of all
The
people.
Dolphins game was close with Tua when he came in. I had a couple of questions from the weekend that are off to the side that I believe no one else is asking today. I don't know the answer to this. Maybe someone in this room does. Why do referees insist on throwing the flag way up in the air instead of just dropping it at their feet? It's going to be on the field either way. Why the need to throw that? It's got a weighted something in it. Why does anyone know? There must be a reason. What is the reason that the referee has to throw the flag 20 yards into the sky instead of just dropping it at his feet? Anyone?
Yeah,
I think it's an emphasis thing.
it is. It's showmanship. Number one, the referee wants to be the
I don't think
star of
that's
something.
I think it is.
Absolutely.
Well, they throw it towards the penalty so that you know more or less where it occurred,
plus-
and then also people can see it. Because
Yeah.
if they just drop it on the ground, Dan, you can't scream free play at home, and then the quarterback can't just air it out because it's a free play.
One of life's great joys.
I was more thinking of it whenever there's a scrum that has an unsportsmanlike conduct in it. You will see a jostled referee in the middle of it launch like a firework into the sky, a flag that could just be dropped there.
Broadcasters also probably prefer it, so it's
Yes, for sure.
done for their TV partners.
Wasn't there a player? I think it was a Cleveland Brown, and you're an ex-Brown.
Yeah, Orlando
fan.
Brown that
Yes.
got blinded by it.
His career,
His life got totally unraveled.
his career was ended because, and it's a weight, and
yeah,
so
it was a
hits
way
him
to.
in
I
the
think
eye.
they since changed it because of Orlando Brown because he got hit in the eye with an exposed BB.
It
Yeah.
poked through the.
It got into his
And
eye.
his father had an eye injury before that, and he pushed the referee after he did it. And it was a big scandalous video because he was so pissed off about it that he went over and you have this giant man just pushing a referee for throwing a flag in his face.
But you do have different varieties of the flag throw. So you have the offside, which is usually a drop. Well, and you have the pass interference, which is a chuck because they're also they have to do, spot of the foul. And so they have to be somewhat approximate to where they think the foul occurred. So they chuck it towards the spot. You have the beanbag toss, which you have on fumbles as well. That's a big one. And the unsportsmanlike conduct is this has escalated, and I'm going to show you with the vigor with which I throw this
Yes.
flag that I'm tossing this up into the air. This is on you, pal.
Yeah.
It's almost a finger point of a flag toss.
You're forgetting about the fumble saucer too. They just drop casually on the ground. They just drop the
little
fumble
beanbag.
saucer.
Little beanbag.
Little dish on the floor.
And their hat, when someone's out of bounds. they
Yeah,
throw their
that was
hat
a
on
good
the
one
field.
too.
That's always great when they come in flustered at the end of the play when the hat actually means something and they come running in and they've got nail pattern baldness his feet were out of bounds.
Yes.
Feet were out of bounds.
And-
You can tell
yeah.
because I'm wheezing over here. My hat's off.
Well, you see that the referee looks like he just got out of bed in the morning and is got hat head and breakfast or morning hair and comes running over because everything is out of control. Somebody stepped out of bounds.
I had a funny moment trying to explain to my wife was it Gallup that caught that touchdown where he was towing the line on the end zone, and I explained it so perfectly, but I thought it would just be too much information to just casually mention, and he also can't be the first guy to touch it. I thought for sure I was good there. I didn't want to throw too much at her, and then totally unraveled by leaving that one detail out.
The precision in that sport is always funny to me because that
How
was
do you reestablish yourself? How? I feel like if I'm in, I'm established. I'm back in.
he was running on the back line with his toes. His heels were not touching, and the ball should have been picked off, and it was a touchdown.
My wife asked me, how does he exactly reestablish himself? And I'm like, I think he throws a shoulder juke or something. I think I just went football move.
I think it's both feet.
Yeah.
It's both feet in the field
Both
of
feet
play.
in there, juke football move.
Got to file an appeal over at the city hall. Let them know, hey, I've reestablished myself. I'm in.
Get it notarized. The second question that I had from over the weekend, and I don't like that this exists inside of me because it's soaked in judgment. I'm asking the television and Paul Giamatti how much Verizon is paying him to play Einstein.
Oh, my God.
Same note too, bro.
Yes.
When I said, look, when I was growing up, real actors would never do commercials, or if they did, it would be, hi, I'm so-and-so for Nescafe or whatever, like George Clooney for Nescafe. And I'm looking at Paul Giamatti, one of the great character actors of our time. This guy is... You are, what?
Wow.
Yeah, I just see him as the wolf in Big Fat Lie or whatever that movie was called with Malcolm in the Middle, where he was painted blue.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to see him as Ben Franklin or anything else after he was just blue.
John Adams.
Whatever.
Well, he was John Adams in HBO's miniseries John Adams, which is amazing. And he's great in Billions. And he's this real serious actor. He does real stuff. And then I see him doing a stupid accent to sell me on switching to Verizon. It's just so beneath him.
As Albert Einstein with big hair.
Yeah, crazy. He was great in Sideways. I don't know movies, but that's a movie that I love and will watch over and over again. Love Paul Giamatti, and I've thought the same thing about that commercial. It's just so embarrassing. And there's that one scene where he doesn't even say anything. He just kind of goes, "What?" or something like that. It's like, what are you doing? How much are they paying you? You're the son of a former baseball commissioner. You should be above this kind of ad, this kind of money grab.
Single-handedly tanked the Merlot industry. Sideways did.
It was great. You're talking about that one scene?
Yeah, winemakers in Napa hate Sideways because it totally ruined Merlot sales.
Love it.
It still hasn't recovered.
What one scene? I can't believe Cody has any opinion whatsoever on anything movie related. Has not
Other than Swing Vote.
Has not seen a movie in a theater since Kevin Costner's
true.
Swing Vote. Cody is all we can right
Is
now.
that still true?
Do me a favor.
No.
Yes. No, I saw Rocket Man, the Elton John biopic.
Please do me a
Biopic,
favor.
whatever that was
comedy.
called.
Come up right now with 5 basic movie questions for Greg Cody that he will not be able to answer so that we can show the audience just how little he knows about the movies. But when you shout that one scene tanked the Merlot industry, which scene are you speaking of?
The one I'm thinking of is they're in this wine bar or something. And,
Wine, it's a wine tasting.
Yeah, okay. And Giamatti, there's the big bowl of wine where they you're not supposed to drink it because they put all the extra wine in there. Blah,
The
blah,
bucket. The bucket where they dump out sort of the spittle.
Blah. Right.
Yeah,
and
if you do wine tastings, not everybody, not me though. I definitely drink everything.
Oh, I do
but
too.
some people just to taste, they swirl it around in their mouth and then spit it out
Yeah,
into
not
this
me.
collection bucket.
I lick the glass. But he picks up the bucket, drunk out of his mind, picks up the bucket and starts drinking from it. Just a wonderful
All
scene.
while lamenting.
Everyone is aghast that he's doing it.
God. Oh.
It is pretty unpleasant, and he
It's a great
leaves
scene.
with his shirt soaked in Merlot. I did not know. I'm not sure that what Mike is saying is mathematically correct and accurate, that one scene tanked the Merlot industry, but put it on the poll, please, Billy. Stop fiddling around with the blue Paul Giamatti you have on
can't
your
unsee
computer
it, Dan.
screen at LeBatard Show.
And at the time, by the way, Paul Giamatti was probably signing on saying, you know what, I need to get an Amanda Bynes and Frankie Muniz movie to get things back on track.
At LeBatard Show, did Paul Giamatti's scene in Sideways tank the Merlot industry?
So this was told to me by not one, but 2 tour guides in Napa.
Wow.
And I've since Googled it, and yes, there's something called the Sideways effect, the state of Merlot. It's legit. No one drinks Merlot anymore because a movie about wine totally shat on Merlot.
It needed to go, Merlot. It even before then, it was struggling with its reputation. And Pinot Noir took advantage of Merlot's decline. There's no question about that.
You've never seemed more French than you did right
Pinot
there.
Noir.
More culture.
You threw your hands up in the air
Yes.
to celebrate. You guys now have 5 very basic movie questions. Oh, wait, if you want to gather yourselves for a moment, plenty of stuff to talk to from the weekend, including Tony's trip to Jacksonville, the Florida playoff teams, all of them terrible, celebrate the way they should, with Trevor Lawrence going to a Waffle House after being the only one who advances with a truly terrible first half.
4 picks. I've tried to bite my tongue when you guys are talking about this Chargers game because I'm still emotional. I can understand losing a game to the Kansas City Chiefs when Patrick Mahomes might throw 4 interceptions. But the Jags, you lost. You were up 27-0 against Trevor
Team of
Lawrence,
destiny.
who had thrown 4
Not how you
picks,
start, how you finish.
and you lose to the Jags. Fire him. Wow. At the very least.
Capitulate.
At the very least. Well, we'll get to your claim for capitulation in a moment. But I do find, can we talk for a second? Billy, you're our foremost expert here.
On what?
On hating Brandon Staley, because the reaction to him is really poisonous. Mike, you sounded like you bet the Chargers -2.
I did. He does not respect the game.
Horrible look for him, too, by the way, with that whole Joey Bosa thing where Joey Bosa throws his helmet, then he picks it up, and then in Brandon Staley's face, he looked him in the eyes. He may not have actually, but he looked him in the eyes and then threw his helmet right back on the ground again, right in front of his face. Not a good look. By the way, and I know I'm going to regret asking this question, what did Joey Bosa say? What on earth did he do that got that reaction out of the referee? who was chasing him down the field looking for a reason to flag him. He said something, man.
Those Bosas are terrifying.
Those Bosas.
They're terrifying. And the scene that Billy is talking about is he loses the game at the end with a temper tantrum. He spikes his helmet, says whatever he said to the referee. Brandon Staley helpfully brings him his helmet back.
Horrible look.
Whereupon he throws
Bumbling
it.
idiot.
He does it again. Why do people hate Brandon Staley so much?
Well, because he was painted out to be this genius, and half of his decisions end up blowing up in his face.
Because he has dared to be different than the rest.
There's a thin line, Dan, between genius and idiot. You know what I mean? And sometimes some people see an idiot and they think, oh my God, this person thinks differently. They're a genius.
Yeah.
And then
he's 12.
Yeah, then they keep doing things. And you're like, oh, this person's not actually a genius. They may just be an idiot. And they may just make horrible decisions and not genius decisions.
But the thing is,
like
Billy,
Glass Onion. Exactly right, Tony Dan. Have you seen Glass Onion yet?
I have not.
Oh, well, then we can't talk about this.
Yeah,
Save it for Jessica. She's been wanting to talk about it.
Okay.
But Billy, so Brandon Staley got all this attention last year because he started going for it a lot on fourth down and one.
Yeah.
But and he is now he earned the reputation as idiot because he kept going for it and they would fail and then they didn't get to the playoffs last year and then this happened. But everyone has copycatted what he does.
Well.
Like everyone, like
only
half the coaches in the league go for it now on four. Like Mike McDaniel did it inside his own 30, and it doesn't get it got a 100th of the attention because he wasn't first. Brandon Staley walked so that all the other coaches could run.
Oh, he's a real martyr.
He's going to end up being one.
He cost him the playoffs last year. Straight up cost him with how he approached. He did not,
This year,
and he
too.
cost him this year too. That's two straight
I-
years.
I
You
just
have
don't like-
everything you want. You have the hotshot quarterback. You have Keenan Allen
Well,
on the outside.
debatable.
You have
But
Austin Eckler. You
but
have
what
your defense is
decision-
finally healthy. Like this guy is getting in your way year after year.
It's been 2 years. But
That's
no, year after year after year.
You know how many
after
times he
year.
gets fired by the Texans if he's black? Twice.
It is year after year. He also did start, for some strange reason, Mike Williams in a game that did not matter. They could have used Mike Williams against
he had a
Jacksonville.
27-0 lead.
He played his whole team the last game of the regular season for some reason.
Like I don't understand how. Like yes, a 27-0 lead. Every coach is gonna get blamed in that spot.
Just run out the
but
clock.
But what decisions were made that you say? Well, that's Brandon Staley's
They
fault.
lost.
Okay, but
lost.
why isn't that Justin Herbert's
They
fault?
lost.
Why isn't that the defense's fault?
I think they had
why
25.
isn't that Joey Bosa's fault?
I think they had 25 passes and 8 running plays the second half or something like that. Like, just run out the clock
Don't
with
lose
a
that game.
27-point lead.
You don't lose that game.
Why is that not Justin Herbert's fault?
Well, he's another one. We don't need to get into him today.
No, we do need to get into
matters.
it
We
today.
It matters
should
that
get
it's
into
the
it
Jags.
today.
You could
God, it's
you
like
lost that
Christmas
game
for me.
against the Bills or Bengals or Chiefs. It's the Jags. They're just happy to be there. How do you lose
All
that
right,
game?
we'll get
Man
to
who
Tony.
lost a bet.
Tony,
This is so sad, by the way. All you guys are talking about is the Chargers when the Jags had the greatest comeback, not only in playoff history, but in actual season history for them.
World history.
it's not playoff history. There have been bigger comebacks than that
Frank
one.
Reich exists.
Just because you were there as a Metal
For the
Art
Jags,
Media
for the Jags, Dan,
correspondent,
for the
pointing
Jags.
out that, first of all, you were rubbing your hands together because you forgot to bring gloves. Second of all, you went near the field and your exclusive reporting revealed that the players are big.
Huge. Derwin James is massive. I saw Derwin James with his shirt up to here with abs that were bulging. You almost hit me on the sideline how big they were.
Tell him the Joey Bosa thing you told me a moment ago.
That we saw him come out of the bus. We saw a lot of the Chargers guys come out of the bus, and Joey Bosa looks 7 feet tall. I saw him from the bus, and I was like, how is he so big? Massive.
Tony, you have to. We will get to my capitulation in a second. We need to update some polls, please, if you don't mind. Just put up there: did Brandon Staley walk so that other coaches could run? And is the line between idiot and genius the line between Blue Paul Giamatti and Albert Einstein?
Some people are saying
Giamatti?
Brandon Staley is the Elon Musk of the NFL.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there's a resemblance.
Put it on the poll as
Eerie.
well. Are some people
It's
saying
Jeremy.
that Brandon Staley is the Elon Musk of the NFL? But you have said, you have vowed to let Tony be Tony this week but also you have mocked his takes. You're mocking his takes.
I'm off to a bad start. I told Tony yesterday we had a talk, him and I.
Right.
Because some people were not happy with the way Tony's top 5 played out last week. And I told you guys I felt bad about it. I didn't apologize to him, but I told Stugotz and you that I felt bad about the way that played out. And people have accused all of us as a show of bullying Tony.
What?
So far as some people have started, and it was mainly Tony, calling me Bully Gil. And I said, you know what, Tony? I don't like that. I don't like the fact that you feel like this is the case, that people are holding you back, that people are keeping you down, that people are bullying you. So I vowed to let Tony be Tony this week and not get in the way.
Thank you, Billy.
Unfiltered Tony. And I feel like when the week is done, you guys are going to want me back.
But you're already mocking him for his Ravens take.
No, yesterday he was trying to share stories on Godless Football, and I said, say those for Dan, buddy. Dan wants to hear all of your stories about the drive up, not us. Keep those for him.
I don't want to hear the stories about the drive up either. I do want to hear what he wants me to capitulate on. You want me to now say that the Jags are good?
I mean, Dan, yeah. Like, what are we talking about? We have a 27-0 comeback. We have a team that was dead in the water, 5 turnovers in the first half. All of a sudden, turn the tide after something happened, which we'll talk about later on. A seminal moment.
What do you mean
in
something?
Jags history?
What do you mean something?
We'll get to it later on.
It's in my top 5, Dan.
We've got your top 5.
We got the
to
top
get
5,
to.
but we could do that whenever you feel.
We could do it right now
No,
if you want
that's
to
a
do
video.
your top 5. That could be your reward instead of my capitulation.
No, but I need your capitulation, Dan.
Tony, let me ask you a question. Is being dead in the water better or worse than being dead on land?
No, it's worse to be dead on the water because you can't really do
What
anything.
is dead in the water? What is that?
Fish. You bloat. You bloat.
Mm-hmm.
And your flesh disintegrates. And not to mention your prey. But if you're dead on land, the vultures, your carrion.
Is Ron McGill joining us today?
Yes.
I just want to talk to him for
No.
40 minutes about. He's
Being
not.
dead in the water?
No, he's filming a documentary.
Oh, damn it!
Yes, he is.
There was an
Filming a
orca.
documentary.
An
Always on
orca washed
Tuesdays.
ashore in Florida.
I have so many questions. 7 whales have come upon the Jersey Shore. I had a whole bunch of questions that I wanted to ask you.
A killer whale was beached
Apex predator.
in
Orca.
Florida. Never happened before.
Billy, where are you? What do you want to hear from Tony from Jacksonville? He was a correspondent. He went to Jacksonville. He partied with Tony Khan. What's the story? What do you want to hear?
Whatever he wants, Dan. This is his week.
I did see Tony Khan, by the way. He was walking on the field, and I was like, Tony, and he walked by like he didn't know who I was.
Yeah, see.
Wow.
I was like, it's me, Tony.
Like he didn't know who you were?
A couple of Tonys cutting it up.
Like he didn't know who I was.
Also, Greg was wrong on the origins of dead in the water.
Yeah.
It refers to it is a nautical
don't think
term which originally referred to a motionless sail ship on a windless day, which appears to be dead in the water.
Because you
source
can't
on that.
escape because there's no wind.
I don't think that makes me wrong.
I don't think that's
that's an
right
alternate definition. But if you're a dead fish in the water, you bloat first, and then your flesh slowly disintegrates, particularly in salt water. I don't think that's
Salt
wrong.
life.
He just told you that it's wrong.
Well, what's his source?
I'm not conceding. Defeat.
Life.
Tony, what are your observations from Jacksonville, and what is the capitulation that you require from me?
Season-long capitulation, Dan. Wow. I just think that you were trying to clown me the whole year, talking about the Jags, and I was like, man, this team is good, guys. Look at the underlying metrics. They're going to win the division. The division's bad. I think they're going to win. Their coach is good. Their quarterback's good for a half. The half that matters, the second half, obviously. Nobody's done a 4-touchdown, 4-interception game like that. Like
History.
So
History was made.
never lost on a Saturday.
That's also true. And Dan, I just need it because you were laughing at me all season long. Week 4, week 12, all of the weeks that I said the Jags were good.
That's right. Who's laughing now?
The
Who's
Florida
laughing now?
playoff teams weren't very good. The fact that they got into the playoffs because all of Rabel's men were hurt shows me.
They got 1 win, 1 loss, and 1 blowout moral victory. I think they did pretty well on the weekend.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
You have
Moral route.
you have Trevor Lawrence. I felt as bad for him in that first half as I felt for the kicker for the Cowboys, Brett Maher, whose name I can't pronounce.
Horrible is more like it. That's how you pronounce that.
And then they end up
We're getting
rallying.
2 for that.
Thank you.
And the
F it, 3.
really,
Yeah.
Really good.
the thing that is emerging from that Jacksonville game, you want everyone to capitulate because it seems like the coverage of that is from everyone. The Chargers lost it more than the Jags won it.
I mean, but that's true though, isn't it? Like,
They were
Okay,
when a
favored.
team blows a 27-0 lead, that's always going to be the story.
8 units.
Well, that you should have. The thing is, you were just betting against me at that point, Mike. That's what I feel.
No, I wasn't.
Yes,
Wasn't
you
betting
were.
against-
I
no.
could have told you.
The
Hey,
metrics that
Jags
you cite.
money line.
The metrics that you cite. I also see metrics. And
Jags
the
money
metrics.
line.
The metrics led me to 27-0.
It was always the Jags.
Jags money line. I wouldn't have
It
felt
was always
very
the
good at
Jags,
that.
guys.
I mean, there aren't a lot of precedents for the way that the Chargers lost that game. You're basically never allowed to win a playoff game when you turn the ball over with a 5.
And it's a team of
5
destiny.
turnover advantage.
It's a team of
Hey,
you
of
lost-
destiny beats the
Hey,
Chiefs
you
on
lost
Saturday.
8. Okay, and we'll see. Right? Okay.
Oh.
8-unit
What?
guy who lost. Not a team of destiny.
We'll see is your proud prediction. We'll see is your bold. How are you feeling about your good
I'm feeling
Jags?
very good. I'm feeling
Duval,
very
yeah.
good about Duval County, about the 904, heading to Kansas City and giving the Chiefs a game.
You should go.
Yeah.
You know what?
I'll take
I
that
should
bet.
go. You come with me.
Team of Destiny.
Start
It was
hitchhiking.
always the Jags.
I don't know about this Trevor Lawrence.
Duval, stand up.
Some
Isn't-
people, Tony, are saying, and I don't want. Me.
The line between idiot and genius is very thin. I know.
No, not that. I'm telling you, I'm not here to put you down this week. I already told you that. I'm just gonna let you know what some people have been saying about you the last day. Yesterday,
The last day.
Yeah, yesterday you said that there isn't much difference between Tyler Huntley and Lamar Jackson.
Oh, that. I mean,
So
hey, hold
I don't
on.
know if you want to retract that
No,
in a day, but I'm just letting you know
No.
that's out there,
Okay, that's fine.
so you don't look silly.
We're going into my top 5, and I don't want to give away the goods, man. Like, there's
All
there's
right,
stuff that we
let's
have to
just
talk about
Let's
here.
just do his top 5
Thank you.
already. Let's just get. Let's do his top 5, and we will close the segment by asking Greg Cody 5 basic movie questions and seeing how many of them that he gets. Let's see. I'm not going to capitulate.
Tony's top 5 this week has 3 brand new sponsors, guys.
What?
Yep, 3 brand new sponsors. Number 1, Nyoke Barato.
Yes.
Number 2, The Haters. And number 3, Duval.
Oh wow, he's a Jacksonville guy
The
now.
entire county of Duval is partnering here with me on this Tony's top 5.
Number 5.
We start with a capitulation.
No, we do
Not
not.
of yours.
We are not.
Not of your. No, hold on. Not of yours. Of mine. I must capitulate. I must bend the knee. Daniel Jones. He's good. Brian Dable unlocked something in Daniel Jones. I said earlier this season he was not good. He's turned the corner. They're going to pay him $150 million this upcoming season. He's good. I must capitulate.
I found myself, because they have been, doing that 1950s, horse and wagon offense. I did find myself getting mad at the Vikings defense for not being better. And I don't know if Daniel Jones was doing that. I've never seen Daniel Jones look like that. He runs the ball a lot. They use him very well.
I think he did that like 2 weeks ago.
Like that?
He's done it all season.
He's
been
had some
good.
monster games this season. He's fine, and that's fine.
It's not fine
No,
enough to actually win.
I mean,
Well, they won.
sometimes fine can turn into excellent. And was he the best quarterback of the weekend?
No, but
Oh, it was Brock Purdy.
yeah.
Yeah.
But Daniel
Yeah, I
Jones
don't know,
saved his
man.
career. He saved his career.
did.
You know who else did? Jared Goff. Hell of a season in Detroit.
Lions
Hell
are
of a
fun.
season.
Did you guys do anything with the reports from Adam Schefter saying that the Lions were really mad because of how bad the officiating was in the Seattle Rams game? That the officiating was so bad that it got Seattle into the playoffs and kept Detroit out of the playoffs. I'd be really wounded by that if I were the Lions.
I mean, maybe don't
Officiating's
start
that bad.
2-7 or whatever it is that they started. Like they had a great second half of the season, but
They're a second half team.
When you don't get in as one of the 7 best teams in the playoffs, like you're not officiating complaints away.
Guys, respectfully, shut up. It's Tony's top 5.
Thank you.
Number 4.
Another poor Kirk game. Nothing to see here. Let's move on. That's number 4. Number 3. I said in week 14. I had my notes here. Week 14. Brady was cooked. Today, again, I repeat. Brady is cooked. He should have retired. That's number 3.
Man, there were some things in that game, the interception in the end zone and him and Mike Evans playing different sports, that it was confused. It was like if he and Mike Evans were getting together for the first time, and it was weird to
They're
watch.
together for 3 years. And
Weird.
Like the one that he just put beyond Evans's fingertips, like that was the point at which Dallas was sort of ready to capitulate. and allow Tampa back into the game, because everyone's thinking at home, why is this a three-score game? It's because of Mahorrible's extra point misses, and you're sort of waiting. All right, this is the door open for Tom Brady. It always ends poorly, and that throw was the difference between it being a bit nervy at the end and it sort of fizzling
Mike,
out.
I don't know if it's disrespectful to put the reckless speculation sounder, but I need it for something I'm about to say, and I don't think the musics can coexist. So tell me what it is that I can do here so that I can get some relief on an
Journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
You're good.
It was so weird to me to see Tom Brady and Mike Evans that far apart that I looked at the screen at one point and said, Mike Evans is throwing this game.
What?
Whoa.
Whoa.
That's how weird it was. It's reckless speculation.
It's really reckless.
Wow.
That's how weird it was to see them that far apart on what it is that they were doing, that I questioned the integrity of Mike Evans.
Is there ever wreckful speculation?
Number 2, Tony.
Number 2, to the aforementioned thing that Billy Gill said, Tyler Huntley being good enough to send Lamar Jackson to Miami. Wow. He's
To
an
Miami?
arbitrage version of Lamar Jackson. He's just good enough. If he was 3 inches taller, he would have had that touchdown. They would have won that game. There's something there in Tyler Huntley.
Okay, hold on a minute. But Tony, you fall in love with quarterbacks every weekend because you told me for a month about Cooper Rush. Like
I mean, he's the
anytime there's
MVP
a
of the
backup given an opportunity in that league, you think they're going to look like Brock Purdy. Like every time you fall in love with the backup quarterbacks.
Let me check here what week that was. That was week, let's see, 13, I think, where I said Purdy good. That was already said.
It helps that
and
you have your notes.
yeah, I have them all here just in case for people to capitulate.
Arguing, Tony, what are you saying?
Cooper Rush, by the way, is the MVP of the Dallas Cowboys season.
Billy,
Sorry to tell you
That
guys.
was me this week, Dan. I told you.
okay, but what are you saying he said on God Bless Football?
That exactly what I said today is what I said
Essentially
yesterday.
that the Ravens can let Lamar walk because they have Huntley.
Wow,
Yeah.
no one is saying that in
I know.
America. Nobody else.
Number 1.
Number 1, hold on, hold on, give me 1 second.
He's got a
Very
prop.
important thing.
He's reaching down. He's
No one is saying
He's a showman because he could have had that right.
yeah, for real.
I can't have this ready.
Oh, yeah. He's doing something behind the
Tyler
scenes
Huntley's
here.
family.
He's
It's
ducking
for
out of the
sure
way.
a
This is for the
violation
audio
of
audience.
word.
This is
I
dangerous.
want
it's
everybody
a
to
candle.
zoom in.
Oh my
I want
God.
everybody to
It's
zoom
There's
in
an
here.
open
It's
flame.
a
Can you
fire
please zoom
hazard.
in?
Yeah.
It's una velita that we lit to Sambo Sally, the patron saint of capitulation. As you can see on my Instagram at 10 Day Tony. Yeah, Billy, if you want to take a look at it, Sambo Sally right there.
Got to turn it toward the camera.
Yeah, no, I was turning to the camera, but it's tough.
This is a brand new candle.
It is. It's a brand new candle. I just bought it.
It's
Hold on, show it to him.
still-
Yeah, hold on. Show it to him on the
Hasn't prayed much.
YouTube.com, LeBatard and Friends, Sambo Sally, the patron saint of capitulation. So
buy
at
that.
halftime,
Smells like lavender.
Selling that?
I am selling it. At halftime,
I'll give you $10 for it.
Lewis
right
and I. No.
No smoking. Oh,
Now we're gonna have that smoke smell in here.
there you go. Cover it up.
The
yeah.
point being, Lewis and I at 27-0 went into the Jags team store. We walked in. It was a pilgrimage, basically. We walked in. There was a poster of Tony Bosseli for sale, and then there was a massive section of Tony Bosseli jerseys. And we went in.
that's over here.
Guys, just stop.
Birthday candle over here, man.
We walked over.
It's an active fire hazard. You guys work in a closet.
The flame
back
is out,
there.
Dan. The flame is out, but not on the Jag season.
Carbon
So
monoxide.
we walked over, and we said a prayer. Sambo Sally, please change this game. At that moment, that was the seminal moment. Mike was laughing. Mike was about to spend the money. And then it happened. Sambo Sally, out of nowhere, from the sky, came in. No turnovers. 3 touchdowns from Trevor Lawrence. The game changed. It was right there at that moment. So again, thank you to the patron saint of capitulation. If we can zoom in on me again, youtube.com/LeBatard
You already did
Friends.
that. It's not necessary
No,
to do
it's
it
necessary,
again.
Dan.
Did you see there was a guy who, when they were up 27-0, bet on the Chargers to win
Money line.
$1.4 million
To win 11
To win
grand.
11 grand.
Yeah, fool. It was Mike Ryan, actually.
Woof. That hurts. We get to Greg Cody's top 5, and we get to Greg Cody's top.
Hey.
See you, Gary.